going to talk to us about the Coalition's reckless privatisation of the probation service. It's called Transforming Rehabilitation, or TR, and clearly it's transforming it for the worse. It has begun, it is in progress, it's still not impossible to stop it and reverse it if we have a determined Labour leadership who's going to do that. They have come part of the way. They did actually put up more opposition to it than other things, but they haven't gone the whole way, and I think we're going to hear an update from Ian now. Ian.
Well, comrades, good evening, and Claire, thank you so much for that warm introduction, and saves me explaining to you what TR is. That's helpful. I wish I never had ever seen the two words, but I have, and we are suffering from it. Just before I start, I can't match the exploits of this veritable awkward squad you have before you here this evening. Their achievements, even at the tender age that Sean represents, is quite something, so my congratulations to them all. It has been suggested, though, if I were the only person in an empty room, there'd be one hell of an argument, so that might give you a clue as to where I stand. I'm really pleased to support your event tonight, Claire. What I wanted to say, the diverse issues that LRC are prepared to tackle is refreshing, and I think an indicator of what we need to do in wider society to actually engage with the public about the issues that count. Because I'm a great believer, no matter how difficult the issue is, it's about time the Labour Party actually engaged on some of these things. Perhaps then see their vote coming back, as opposed to it going across to the insidious and pernicious organisation that is UKIP. Okay, Claire has given you an entree as to what TR is, and in May 2013, Chris Grayling, failing Grayling, signalled the end of a public institution of 106 years, a service that has performed excellently in that time, turning around hundreds of thousands and millions of lives at that time, of course, and helping people by way of befriending them and assisting them and directing them. But all that went to sea many years ago, when the element of profit of performance started entering into the equation, as it has done in a number of public services. And with it, of course, came the spectre of privatisation. The key to TR is that Chris Grayling and this government wants to assist and support people who have served less than 12 months in prison. So do my members. It would have been nice to have been given the chance to do that, because our members do not see that group of, that cohort of offenders, because there is no statutory role for us to do so. So instead of investing public money and building on the track record of the probation service, Chris Grayling wants to put this work in the hands of untried and untested privateers. Fortunately, the likes of Serco and G4S are out of the picture. However, you ought to be scared, very scared, because we now know that in at least one of the areas ripe for privatisation is a company called Sentinel, an American outfit, who in 3 US states charge offenders for the privilege of being tagged and all the other services they administer for that offender. And in one case, we saw a film showing an offender who had stolen 2 cans of beer from an off-licence 4 or 5 years ago, now own that company several £1,000s because they could never afford to pay the bill. So we obviously are raising this at the highest levels, and we'll use that wherever we can in the media. I could talk all night about the track record of the other providers waiting to happen, Sodexo's, Capita, or Crapita as John calls them. All in all, there isn't one of them that we know about who's capable of running offender intervention assistance programs. So we have the possibility of rises in domestic violence, the possibility of numerous recalls and breaches from people who won't know where to go, won't get the guidance, and the only alternative will be prison again. And very quickly, prison, where 5,000 prison officers have been made redundant over the last 2 years. And we now see the prison population burgeoning out of control yet again. And Grayling's plan to assist 50,000 new clients coming out on the streets every year, if they're not managed properly, it's going to mean an increase in the prison population as people are breached and recalled. So this is Chris Grayling, unfit for purpose, unfit generally, and surely time for him to go. The TR programme is a train crash. Courts in chaos, case allocations in chaos, risk assessments, IT that doesn't work, a staff assignment process that has brought people to stress, tears and worse, and the lending back of staff have now been split between the National Probation Service and these 21 would-be companies being lent back across the divide because of the shambles in terms of organisation. And all this at a time when we have a World Cup in progress. And did you know, but I'll tell you if you didn't, it is a proven fact that increases in domestic violence of the order of 20% during a World Cup programme. That's before England are knocked out on penalties, by the way. And one hopes they're not. I'm a little bit optimistic this time, but we'll see. Aside from that, we know that it's morally repugnant that private companies are even able to make a profit out of other people's misery, making money from the victims of crime and the communities in which people live. Justice should be about people. In the case of probation, the need of the offender to help them turn their life around and contribute back to society. And in terms of victims, being able to have closure and reparation where necessary. But we're not going to get that. We're going to get the handing over wholesale probation service to these privateers, pirateers in fact. And at a time when we're about to enter the build-up to the 800th anniversary of Magna Carta, isn't it ironic? Cameron this week with his patronising witterings about how we should celebrate the Magna Carta. Well, he and his government have done so much to destroy it. The cuts on legal aid. Families not being able to access representation in family court hearings. Women, victims of domestic violence, being forced to sit in the same witness and waiting rooms as the perpetrators of that violence because of no access to legal aid. Litigants in person, in total confusion about the justice system, making more money, actually causing more money to the taxpayer in the longer term. So we want local accountability for public services, as you all do. And that's why we're still putting the squeeze on Grayling and his people to actually say this probation privatisation is doomed to failure. If you can't see it now through your own eyes, you can't see anything. We want to build local community relationships using the skills of probation service and, if needs be, working with other providers who are proven and can be proven to a certificated standard to get out there and assist people in the short-term custodial community and offenders in general. So we're not against change. We've never been against change. What we are against is the destruction of our services, our people's jobs and their professionalism. And above all, you know, probation privatisation is not even competitive because we're now learning that bidders are dropping out of the ring weekly, which is good news. They're dropping out because it's a contract. There is no money to be made, as they thought, except that they'll get a fee for service, whether or not they engage with someone who's worked a short-term prison sentence and turn their lives around. They get a fee for service. You'll pay for that. We'll pay millions for that, for no discernible benefit. Already, they're wondering just what it is Grayling is trying to sell them. And that's why NAPO, Unison and the GMB are continuing our campaign to step up the pressure in Parliament, in the media and outside, winning increasing numbers of friends who are seeing this totally as the train crash that it's become. And that's why we need you, comrades, to spread the word around your communities, to get in touch with your MPs, whoever they are, even the no-hopers down in Tory heartlands, to actually keep the pressure on and say that even if you think this is a good idea, the actual empirical evidence out there suggests it is a total and absolute reckless social experiment. And we need to highlight that, and we certainly will do. And what finally of the Labour Party? Well, I've heard people tonight say quite rightly one thing, a strong clear message is this, isn't it? We kind of know what you're against, Ed. Start telling people what it is you are for. And then you might win back some respect. And then you might win the voters, even if they don't think you're particularly photogenic. They might actually vote for you because they believe in your policies, not with your hair's out of place and how you eat the bacon roll. On privatisation, be honest. Say that even under the Labour government's, last Labour government's watch, it was a disaster. Be honest, be open. Tell the taxpayer it's cost them millions. They might just switch on and think, well, I can't go down that road again. Even Tory voters don't support privatisation in anywhere near numbers they did many years ago. And finally, you can tear up the probation contracts if they are let. You can because the unions have worked hard to put the pressure on the contractors to recognise terms, conditions and protections of employment in the long term. And we have fought to have something like 20 or 27 termination clauses built into those contracts. So it's not going to cost you millions. So before you say you can't do it, I say this: yes, you can. Chair, it's been a pleasure to address you tonight. You've heard from other speakers that prove the point. This coalition is committing social and economic vandalism on our public services. They must be brought to account. And we don't trust the political parties to do that. There's only one group of people in this great country of ours that can. It's the trade union movement, standing together for its principles and its values, as it has done for over 100 years. Thank you so much.